Hi, I'm Anna, and I am a personal trainer and a yoga teacher at Seattle Athletic Club Northgate. Today, I'm bringing you a video about one of my favorite topics, breathing, and in particular, how breathing is the foundation of core stability and core control. So this is going to be the first of a two-part series. In this first one, we're just going to really focus on how we can engage our breath in coordination with our abdominal muscles to really have this great core engagement. Next time, we'll take that and we'll transfer it to how to use that with specific strength training movements. Because we're not just going to sit here and breathe and contract the whole time. We want to be able to use this when we're lifting and running and all this other stuff. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the core. So we can think of our core as this canister that begins with our bottom of our pelvic floor and goes all the way up to our neck. And so it's not just these traditional core muscles that we think of, but it's the muscles of our back, all around, and it also includes our diaphragm, this muscle that goes right through the middle, bottom of our rib cage, which is our muscle of breathing. So you can think about, as we take a big inhale, our diaphragm contracts and it moves downward into our abdomens. So you can imagine the squishy ball is our guts down here, and as our diaphragm moves down, it actually builds pressure. You can see how when I push on this ball, there's pressure, air pressure in there. We call this intra-abdominal pressure. And we want to build pressure to help stabilize our spine and to be able to transfer movements and just have a stable core. But what happens is if we don't sort of engage all of our muscles together, if maybe one is engaging more than another, or we're kind of engaging in a way that pressurizes in a way that's unhealthy, like let's say I am bearing down on this and I'm just kind of pushing in and down, I'm going to be putting all that pressure into my pelvic floor, which is a recipe for all sorts of unpleasant things. Another common thing is people will pressurize out. They'll push out against their abdominal wall, and you can imagine that sort of bulging towards the front. It can cause some unpleasant things as well. We want to have this sort of equal engagement to really contain that pressure. And our breath is the driver of all this. So we're going to do some movements to really sort of get in touch with that and just start to feel first, how am I breathing? And then how can I build this great abdominal contraction around that? So you're going to need a couple of things. You'll want a chair. I have a pillow in my chair just because it's hard plastic and that's more comfortable for my heels. And then something that you can squish between your legs. I love my little squishy ball, but a pillow or a yoga block works just as well. And then I'm also grabbing a rolled up towel to put under my head as a little pillow. So come on down. Bring the towel under your head so that you have a nice long neck. You're not gripping with the back of your neck or feeling any discomfort here. Feet and legs are up on the chair, and you want your knees at 90 degrees and your hips at 90 degrees. So if this isn't exact, that's okay, but try to get it pretty close. Bring your arms out to the side and just start to take a deep breath. So with these first breaths, we're just trying to get this really full expansion. We want to pressurize out into our canister like a balloon. We want it to come out in all directions. So that is not just to the front, but you can start by putting your hands on your belly and finding that breath that expands into your front, because we do need that. And then bring your hands to the sides of your rib cage and start to find that lateral rib movement as well, because that is very important. We want our rib cage to be moving out to the side with our inhales. With your exhales, you can give a little push, almost like a little rib massage. And then you can also put your hands beneath your back or grab a little towel or something to put underneath your back. And also try to find that expansion back into the mat as well, so that you can really imagine your whole container here as a balloon blowing out in all these directions. So you can spend as much time as you need to just trying to find this full expansion. Just that alone can take some time. So now we're going to build on contracting around that expansion. So we have to start with a great inhale. Full, 360 degrees. And then your exhale, imagine you're blowing out candles on the other side of the room. And you'll feel when you have that forceful exhale, how your ribs will move down and together. We want that rib movement down and together. Your low belly draws in and together with it. It's like everything is knitting together. Spine stays long. You don't want to find yourself shortening through your side waist or scrunching into your belly. If you notice that as you do that, you pressurized out and you had all this doming in your belly, then take some time before we add on here. See if you can find that exhale where your belly does more of a drawing your ribs down and drawing your low belly towards it. So we're going to add on. So grab your ball or your block or pillow, whatever you wanted to put between your legs for that little squishy factor, and put it right between your legs and just give it a few squishes. We want to engage our inner thighs here, because our inner thighs, they run together with our pelvic floor, and then they weave into all our abdominal musculature. So they're very connected to all this. And you want to see if you can find an inner thigh squeeze that is just your inner thighs. Notice if your butt wants to take over. We want to keep our butt relaxed. We want to keep our hip flexors and our quads relaxed. So find that really good inhale. When you start your forceful exhale, start with a squeeze of your inner thighs. From that, feel your pelvic floor drawing in, your low belly drawing in, your rib cage drawing down and together. Keep that squeeze. Hold the end of the exhale. And then release. Continue to do this for a few more times, because it's going to take a little bit of practice to feel it all happening together. Notice if, as you sort of build this from the squeeze here to the pulling up of your pelvic floor to the drawing down of your ribs, that maybe you lose, okay, you got this part, but then you lose your pelvic floor and your inner thighs. And then see if you can build upon that. So what we don't want is just one part taking over. So take a few more breaths playing with it. Big inhale. Exhale, squeeze at the inner thigh. Drawing up the pelvic floor. Low belly knits together. Ribs knit down and together. Side waist is still long. I'm not scrunching. Hold the end of that exhale. You should feel all of this working. If you go and push into your belly right here, it should feel very toned. And release. We're going to add on to that. If you're really struggling with just finding that, then stick with that and just play with it. It can take so much time, especially if you've ever had any abdominal surgeries, or even if you've just had children and your pelvic floor is still a little out of whack. It'll take some time just to start to build those connections. But we're going to take that same concept and we're just going to start to move our legs a little bit. So inhale. Exhale, squeeze the ball. Pelvic floor draws in, low belly, ribs down and together. From that engagement, lift your legs. If you notice that as soon as you lifted your legs, maybe you started pressurizing out, or maybe you felt yourself bearing down, then give yourself more time just to play with that breath. If you were able to keep that sort of equal engagement as you lift it up, then you can start to transition this off the chair. Big inhale, big exhale, squeeze. And you can start to do either one leg, inhale, exhale, pulling those ribs down together, bringing it up, or both legs, inhale, exhale, squeeze, draw it in. This is going to add load, so if you notice is once you're here, this happens immediately, then just regress it and allow yourself the time to build these patterns. But once you do, once you're able to find it, it will change the way your abdomen engages. So play with that. And then next time I come back with another video, we're going to use all those same concepts, but take it into more dynamic movements. So, thank you for joining me, and I hope you join me again for the next installment. Have a great day.